am the nation. I was born on July 4th, 1776, and the Declaration of Independence is my birth certificate. The bloodlines of the world run in my veins because I offered freedom to the oppressed. I am many things and many people. I am the nation. I'm 200 million living souls and the ghost of millions who have lived and died for me. I'm Nathan Hale and Paul Revere. I stood at Lexington and fired the shot heard round the world. I'm Washington, Jefferson, Patrick Henry. I'm John Paul Jones, the Green Mountain Boys, Davy Crockett. I'm Lee.
Coming to you from the DTOM Studios in the free state of Florida, sponsored by Maker's Mark Bourbon. This is Don't Tread on Merica. How's everybody doing out there today? It is Sunday, June 7th, 2026. How y'all doing out there today? All right, guys, real quick, got a great show for you today. I'm a little fired up over this show. News of the obvious, right? Bring back that. A little pissed off, guys. We're going to get into that in just a second, but a couple of things real quick. Make sure, whatever podcast app you're listening to this on, that you are following the show, you're subscribed, whatever that button is up there in the corner, hit it. Say, follow Don't Tread on America. Subscribe. Whatever it is. No Patreons here, guys. The show is completely free. Okay? I just need you to follow it. If you're listening to this on Apple or Spotify, leave a comment. Leave a 5-star rating. Help me out, guys. This is probably the highest ranked, most shadow banned show out there, period. I'm telling you. Okay? Top 20 show in conspiracy theory land. And I'm getting hundreds of listeners, and that's it. I should be getting tens of thousands with the stuff I'm talking about. So I need you to share this content. Follow the show on social media. Don't Tread on America on Facebook, Instagram, True Social, and the Ticker Talker. And, of course, on the Twitter X Machine DTOM Podcast 1776. And if you're not on social media, you know what? That's fine. I get it. I completely understand. Go to the website, DontTreadonMerica.com. Visit the DTOM Store while you're there. Check out the show merch. Remember, all proceeds go to Tunnels and Towers. I don't take any money from that. Also, check out the show on Rumble, DontTreadonMericaTV. You can check out the inner workings of the DTOM Studios. And if you have any questions, concerns, anything you want to run past me, you can do so. You hit me up. Email me, DonQ at DontTreadonMerica.com. And right now, we're going to kick it off a little bit of Damn Yankees. Don't Tread on America version, courtesy of one Ted Theodore Nugent. Guys, we're diving back in to Section 224. Israel and the new threat to America. Who is it? What could we be talking about here? It's very interesting. I've got my Alp. I've got my whiskey because I need both of them today. We're going to dive into this in just a few minutes, but please enjoy the song for now, okay?
You
All right, welcome back to Don't Tread on America, the podcast where we don't apologize for asking the questions the gatekeepers hate. Of course, I'm your host, Don Q, coming to you raw from the front lines of the sovereignty fight. Today's episode, guys, is a monstered show of unfiltered truth because this story demands it. We're talking the Pentagon's Defense Intelligence Agency quietly raising Israel to the highest critical counterintelligence threat level, spying on American politicians, Trump officials, internal Iran deliberations, while Congress is ramming through the NDAA Section 224, the bill that fuses U.S. and Israeli military tech, AI, cyber, quantum data networks, co-production, basically handing them the keys to our future war infrastructure. This is happening right now, June of 26, as we barrel toward America's 250th birthday, and the mainstream media, they're spinning it as rumors and denials. Contractually obligated guitar solo. Hang tight. So, conspiracy time. I am not dismissing a damn thing here. Just because something isn't confirmed in a press release doesn't mean the government isn't hiding the full picture. Patterns don't lie. History doesn't lie. And we, the people, aren't stupid. We're going to dive into everything. The DIA leak, Section 224, the USS Liberty anniversary, irony in all this, and Massey is going to be speaking on this on the floor tomorrow. The Samson option versus the mutual assured destruction option, AIPAC's legalized capture, the FARA loopholes, the decades-long Ratchet timeline, of course the media spin, exploding public skepticism, and the big question that should keep every patriot up at night. How in the hell do you greenlight deeper integration while your own intel shop just tagged the partner as a top-tier espionage risk? This isn't incompetence. This is institutional capture. And if you're new here, guys, buckle up, because we're not holding back. But let's first set the stage with the bombshell that dropped just yesterday.
An unprecedented intelligence rift has exploded behind closed doors in Washington, exposing deep paranoia at the highest levels of the American national security apparatus with regards to Israel. According to an explosive report by NBC News, the Pentagon has significantly raised its counterintelligence threat level against America's top ally in the Middle East, Israel, to its absolute highest tier to prevent potential snooping. The step was taken amid growing concerns that the country's intelligence services are aggressively seeking insight into sensitive U.S. decision-making on Iran and the wider Middle East. Citing 2 current U.S. officials and 1 former U.S. official, NBC reported that the Defense Intelligence Agency recently raised Israel's counterintelligence threat assessment to a critical level, the highest category used in internal monitoring. According to the report, the DIA circulated an internal assessment that described Israel's ability to conduct both human intelligence operations and technical collection against U.S. targets as being at a critical level. One official told NBC that the assessment included several incidents that contributed to the heightened concerns, although details of those cases were not disclosed publicly. The report arrives at a particularly sensitive moment in U.S.-Israeli relations. Despite remaining close strategic partners, Washington and Tel Aviv have reportedly diverged on several major issues linked to Iran. President Donald Trump has pursued negotiations aimed at securing a broader settlement with Tehran after months of conflict, while Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has continued to advocate a harder military approach and has publicly expressed skepticism regarding diplomatic solutions. NBC reported that tensions between the two leaders have become increasingly visible behind closed doors. Trump and Netanyahu recently held a tense phone conversation over Iran and Israeli military operations in Lebanon. Trump later acknowledged publicly that he had sharply criticized Netanyahu during the exchange. Against that backdrop, U.S. officials believe Israeli intelligence agencies have a heightened interest in understanding how the White House may proceed on future military operations, sanctions policy, and diplomatic engagement with Iran. The allegations nevertheless touch on a long-running source of unease within the U.S. national security establishment. Former diplomats, intelligence officials, and counterintelligence specialists have for decades described Israel as one of the most capable foreign intelligence actors operating against American targets, despite the close alliance between the two countries. U.S. officials interviewed by NBC noted that American personnel traveling to Israel often already take additional security precautions, including limiting discussions of classified matters, using secure communications equipment, and exercising heightened awareness regarding electronic surveillance risks. The issue is not without historical precedent. The most famous espionage controversy between the two allies involved former U.S. Navy intelligence analyst Jonathan Pollard, who was convicted in the 1980s of passing large quantities of classified material to Israel. While the current and former officials cited in the report stressed that the latest concerns do not appear to have disrupted ongoing intelligence cooperation between the two countries, security coordination linked to Iran, regional missile threats, and counterterrorism operations reportedly continues at a high level. At a moment of disagreement over Iran and the future of the Middle East, one of America's closest strategic partners may be working aggressively to penetrate the administration's most sensitive deliberations.
So, there you have it, guys. We're looking at two current U.S. officials, one former, a 7-page document, chart included. Israel is spying on us. Aggressive, focused on our policymakers, now at the highest threat tier. White House calls it false. Israel calls it completely false. The Pentagon? Crickets. Once again, just because it's not confirmed in public hearing doesn't mean they're not hiding the receipts. We've seen this movie before. So, let's break it down. So, here's the question I want every listener to scream at their congressperson. How do you greenlight deeper integration while your own intel shop just tagged the partner as a top-tier espionage risk? Section 224 of the fiscal year 2027 NDAA advanced in the White House Armed Services Committee on Friday creates a Pentagon executive agent for the U.S.-Israel Defense Technology Cooperation Initiative, AI, quantum, autonomous systems, direct energy, cyber, biotech, counter-drone, network integration, and data fusion, co-production, joint research and development baked into U.S. supply chains. Critics like Representative Rokana tried to strip it. He failed. Representative Thomas Massey is gearing up for a floor fight. AIPAC cheered it, shockingly. Netanyahu reportedly pushed for this exact model to dodge annual aid votes.
Mr. Chairman, the American people are tired of the arrogance and insolence of Prime Minister Netanyahu telling America what we should do. The entire country of Israel has a GDP that is less than a single town in my district. Yet somehow Netanyahu thinks he can tell the American people what we should do. The person who's most upset with him right now is President Donald Trump. And everyone in America, whether you're a Republican, an independent, or a Democrat, says that we need to tell Netanyahu that America calls the shots, not the Prime Minister of any other country. They want less cooperation and blank checks to Israel, not more. Only the United States Congress would dream up at this moment, let's actually do more for Israel, not less. And that's what Section 2024 does. It's a pretty simple thing. Should we do more for Israel than we already do, or should we do less? If you think we should do more for Israel, you should be against my amendment. If you think we should do less for Israel at the time that he's arrogantly telling Donald Trump what to do, then you should be for my amendment. Now, let me just be clear. Mr. Netanyahu actually wrote to a member of Congress to put this Section 224 into the bill. He says, I know that aid is unpopular in America. I know that even Republicans don't want aid. So here's what you got to do. Quote, let's create a new framework. This is Netanyahu telling us what we should do. A new framework of joint defense cooperation, co-development, co-production, and mutual investment in areas including advanced missile defense, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and next-generation military platforms. Why? Because he doesn't want Congress to vote on the aid. He just wants it fused in the bill. Last I checked, Netanyahu doesn't have a seat on this committee, Mr. Chairman. We need to reject an amendment which his language is coming directly from the Israeli Prime Minister. And we ought to have any aid have a vote of the American people. I am for Team America. I am for the interests of this country. And I believe that when Donald Trump ran, he ran America first. That includes American interests against any foreign country. We should have American sovereignty and make it clear that we strike 224. If we want to give aid to Israel, if we want to sell them weapons, that should be a vote for the entire Congress.
So that was Representative Ro Khanna from California. The DIA, which is the Defense Intelligence Agency, just said Israel's technical collection on us is critical, and we're fusing the systems. That's not an alliance building situation. That's the fox designing the henhouse security system. Now, if we look at this through a conspiratorial lens, this is deliberate disablement. Make America dependent, lock in the influence, then the spying becomes unnecessary because they're already inside. But before we go any further, guys, let's take a quick commercial break. So let's hang tight. And we're going to talk about our most favoritist of all sponsors. We love all our sponsors here, but this is... I can't get through my day without this one, so hang tight. Okay, so who are we talking about here, guys, right? We're talking about ALP. When the news makes your blood boil and you need to stay sharp without the smoke, reach for ALP nicotine pouches, the clean, discreet kick that keeps you in the fight. No ash, no smell, just pure focus. And right now, guys, DTOM listeners get 20% off your first order. Go to alppouch.com/DTOM and you'll save your 20%, guys, off your first order. Stay nicotine smart. Stay sovereign. We'll be back to the Ratchet in just a second. Hang tight. So, Ro Khanna there made a statement saying that Netanyahu wrote or influenced whatever a member or members of Congress to write this Section 224. So who was this person? Well, I'm going to tell you, because we get these vague situations, and that's where Ro Khanna falls in a situation of Who was this person? And I don't understand why, if you're going to make an accusation, and I'm on Ro Khanna's side here. So as far as he's a Democrat, I get it, but he's completely making sense with this situation. I mean, he even said the one person that's probably the most pissed about this is Donald Trump. This is a Democratic congressperson saying this. So why wouldn't you implicate the member of Congress who's involved in this? Well, because we don't really know for a fact, but we can assume, because in June, it's June now, so just the other day, Representative Marlin Stutzman, he's a Republican from Indiana, introduced a resolution in the House aimed at phasing out traditional U.S. military aid to Israel in favor of trade over aid partnership. Stutzman introduced this over a personal meeting with Netanyahu in Jerusalem, where Netanyahu explicitly gave Stutzman a written letter of support stating that the proposal aligned with his own vision. While critics scrutinized the timing and alignment, it was framed as a mutual policy agreement rather than direct orders. In addition to Stutzman, Speaker Johnson has maintained a tight relationship with Netanyahu, most notably by orchestrating the invitation for Netanyahu to address a joint session in Congress. This close coordination has drawn sharp criticism from congressional Democrats who argue that such actions bypass standard diplomatic channels through U.S. executive branch. Whether Mike Johnson was involved or not, I do believe that Marlin Stutzman from Indiana was involved. He was the person who introduced this part of the section. So, why are we allowing our congresspeople that we elect, Republican, Democrat, I don't give a fuck, they're partially all involved in this. Why are we allowing these individuals to take meetings with foreign leaders of whatever country, and from this meeting comes legislation, essentially, or part of legislation that involves that country? And that's the whole thing here. So let's map the decades-long Ratchet. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is documented policy Ratchet that tightens step by step. So, 1948, Truman recognizes Israel in 11 minutes. Minimal aid. In 62, Kennedy sells the first Hawk missiles. In 67, the USS Liberty on June 8th was attacked. 34 Americans dead. 171 wounded. Accidentally, of course, per official story. Life rafts machine gunned. Flag was flying. Declassified intercepts and survivor testimony say otherwise. Israel pays compensation, but there's no full congressional probe. Aid explodes post the Six-Day War.
This audio tape, which has never been broadcast
Listen
before,
to this close,
was
guys.
recorded in real time by the Israeli military during the assault. The woman's voice in the background is counting down the seconds. It proves that Israeli commanders knew all along that they were attacking an American ship.
So, they said in Hebrew, what state does the ship belong to? American. Now, this is from two of the survivors, Jim Kavanaugh and Bryce Johnson, I think.
And we realized that we needed help. We tried to communicate with the Sixth Fleet.
They were jamming both our distress frequencies and our tactical frequencies. The tactical frequencies is all right, but the international distress frequencies is a violation of international law to jam them, and the Israelis were jamming them.
And we could not get a signal across. Here's the question I have to ask. who would know the frequencies other than an ally? And who was the ally in the war? It wasn't Egypt. It was Israel. They would know, and only they would know in this conflict, what our frequencies would be.
Up above, the Israeli military argued about what should happen next and who should sink the Liberty.
I remember thinking, I was in pretty good shape then. I said, I think I can swim it to the shore. And then I thought sharks. And I thought a lot of things, all quickly, you know.
At 11 minutes past 2, with the Israeli jets running out of ammunition, the pilots were instructed to fly down and confirm the identity of the ship. It was now 12 minutes past 2, and the Israeli control tower knew for certain this was an American ship, the same one its forces had first identified at 5:15 a.m. that morning, and then buzzed again during 7 additional reconnaissance flights throughout the day. The jets then pulled out, but 3 Israeli Navy motor torpedo boats were already on their way.
So, I mean, what else do you guys really need to hear? Now, there's a lot of people that don't even realize that that incident took place. Hold on a second. I got to text somebody. All right. So, in 73, the Yom Kippur Nixon airlifts strategic assets cemented. 81 to 87, Reagan MOU, a major non-NATO. God damn, can you speak, Don? Major non-NATO ally status. 90s to the 2010s, we gave them the Iron Dome, Aero co-development. In 2016 to 2 years from now, $38 billion in aid, F-35s, bunker busters. And right now, we're dealing with Section 224, which is permanent fusion data networks, co-production jobs as political leverage. And then after Ro Khanna spoke in that, of course, the chairman of the Arms Committee here had to speak on that. Now, I'm going to let him talk, and I'm going to give you some information on the background of each of these individuals that have something to say.
Gentleman yields back. Chair recognizes himself. Israel is our closest.
This is Mike Rogers.
And our cooperative program.
He has received $1 million from AIPAC.
Cutting-edge technologies. Section 224 doesn't create any new programs within the Department of Defense. It simply designates a single senior office official to coordinate existing initiatives. Section 224 actually improves oversight and accountability of these programs by designating a single official responsible for them. Claims that this provision somehow cedes authority to a foreign government are simply ridiculous. I urge all members to oppose the amendment. And Mr. Smith, ranking member is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm actually very sympathetic with some aspects of the remarks of Mr. Khanna about the frustration we have with Netanyahu's leadership in Israel. We have endless wars now in Gaza, in the West Bank, for that matter, in Lebanon. No effort to no effort to find partners
from Washington. Almost 500,000 from AIPAC.
There are opportunities to do that. Mr. Netanyahu insisted on this war with Iran that has strengthened Iran and weakened our position. I do not like his leadership of Israel or where he is going, but the way this amendment was described is simply not accurate. To begin with, and let's be very clear on that, this is not a new framework. It's not a new framework at all. We have 3 existing programs right now where we do military cooperation with other NATO countries. It's because of technology. This is a partnership that
skip ahead,
not on the larger.
These guys all basically said the same thing as Don
Thank you, Mr.
Bacon.
Chairman. Indeed, I agree with the ranking member, and that is that we benefit from our association with.
But my fucking thing was in the way here. Hold on.
Gentleman yields back and he makes an excellent point about Ukraine. I think he's right. We should,
Let's just give all our fucking money to everybody else. How's that sound?
I'll keep it brief.
How does that sound, guys? How about we just close America and our tax dollars just go to everyone else? How about
We've gained
that?
so much technology advantages from our partnership with Israel, and vice versa, they gain as well. And this is what we're
This
trying to
is
do.
Don Bacon. He's from
They support our foreign policy.
Nebraska.
They're the most supportive of us.
$1.3
They're the only
million
democracy
from
in the
AIPAC.
So I'll oppose the amendment. I'll yield back.
And yields back. Chair recognizes Mr. Wilson of South Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Indeed, I agree
Mr.
with
Wilson.
the
Now,
ranking
that
member.
last guy was a
And that is
Republican.
that we
Mr.
benefit
Wilson,
from our
South Carolina.
association with the people of Israel,
Who is a
They're
Democrat,
instrumental
by the way.
because they're in a real war. A real war.
This one's gonna blow your mind right here.
Essentially, to murder all the people of Israel.
Oh, I'm
And with
sorry,
that,
this isn't the guy.
we've
This
learned
is,
so much
well,
about
South
our
Carolina. He
anti-missile
is
capability
Republican.
and to protect the American people, protect the people, all
$374,000.
of
Let me get to this
our,
other
the
guy
nuclear
here, because
capability
they're all
that Iran-
basically saying
Part
the
of the
same
matter in some
thing.
ways. Opponents of Section 224 are really allowing a broader political disagreement. Concerns about Israel, some of which you can debate could be legitimate, but they're allowing a much broader political disagreement to override a program that fundamentally 224 does not give Israel
Okay, this
control
is
over
Jared
U.S. defense
Gold,
programs or supply chains.
Democrat from
Does not
Maine,
provide any kind of
$1 million.
backdoor way to hide military aid.
The United States should have, since October, any state for any other country in the world had been credibly accused of violating U.S. and international law again and again, of killing tens of thousands of civilians, of blocking food and medicine from reaching a starving population, we would not be moving to deepen and permanently expand our military ties with them. And yet, that is exactly what Section 224 of this bill proposes. Since October of 2023, the Gaza Health
This
has
is
counted
Miss
more
Jacobs.
than
I'm
70,000
not sure what
Palestinians
state
killed in
she's
Gaza,
from,
a number
but
that
she
the Israeli
opposes.
military itself has now reportedly accepted. Another 1,079 Palestinians, at least 235 of them children, have been killed in the West
Doesn't
Bank.
take any money from
Settler
AIPAC, by
violence
the
has
way.
reached unprecedented levels, and the Israeli Security Cabinet has approved 34 settlements in the West Bank, another violation of international law. But even against that backdrop, Section 224 would institutionalize and expand U.S. military integration beyond anything in the history of the relationship, fusing our defense industries across research, production, and emerging technologies. And for my colleagues who say that this vote is actually not about the actual provision, it is. Emerging technology is not an abstraction. It means cyber. And that is one field where we have already had to act against an Israeli firm for turning its tools on us. In 2021, the Commerce Department blacklisted NSO Group, the maker of Pegasus spyware, for malicious cyber activity against U.S. interests after its software was used to target government officials and journalists. 2 administrations from both parties left it on that list. And that same company is right now trying to buy its way into the American market. Fusing our defense and technology sectors together permanently with no conditions in the exact area where we have already been burned is reckless on its own terms. And it would do it through a must-pass bill with almost no oversight and with none of the human rights conditions that govern the rest of our security assistance. We already have laws on the books that tell us what to do in this situation. The Leahy Law prohibits assistance to foreign militaries that have committed gross violations of human rights. The Foreign Assistance Act prohibits arms transfers to countries that are restricting U.S. humanitarian aid, and Israel has been consistently blocking and restricting humanitarian assistance. These laws exist, and they're not being followed or enforced. And instead of demanding enforcement, this committee is proposing we reward that conduct. This committee should enforce the laws we've already passed and condition offensive weapons as those laws require, not permanently entrench our militaries together with no strings attached. A clear majority of Americans, 60%, already oppose sending more military aid to Israel. They will not support this, and neither should we. I urge my colleagues to support this amendment to strike Section 224. I yield back.
Generally yields back. Chair recognizes Dr. Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I
Ronnie
actually am the
Jackson
author of
from
this, to my
Texas.
knowledge, to the best of my knowledge, along with my colleague, Mr. Davis. And I don't know what Mr. Khan is talking about, but I never received a letter from the Prime Minister, so that's complete misinformation. Mr. Chairman, this amendment is nothing more than a political stunt to remove a critical bipartisan provision that I was proud to craft. Has supported and reinforced U.S.-Israel defense.
They're all saying the same thing, so I'm not going to bore you all with it. I just want to give you some stats here.
Sovereign commands. I only urge my colleagues to vote.
Representative Jackson, we've worked on this for some time, and I must admit, too, I haven't received a letter from the Prime Minister. But let's be clear. Currently, the U.S. and Israel
So this guy right
cooperate.
here,
This amendment would not stop the collaboration. However, what it would do is hinder our ability to cooperate more efficiently. The spirit of Section 224 is to help us better
so he's
organize
one of
our
the
efforts.
authors
Here
of
it is,
this section
against
of the
bad
bill.
actors around the world. These bad
Who
actors
says
coordinate.
I didn't
They're working
receive any
together
letters from
in an unyielding way
Netanyahu, but you know what he
to
did receive
effectively and efficiently
or has
inflict harm
received
upon Americans.
He's received
If we
over
don't coordinate
$3 million
systems in place
from
the bad
AIPAC.
actors would then exercise their free will against us. In April of 2024, Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. Here's where I'm heading. My development.
This
If
guy
we're really
is
concerned about
from
cost,
North
why not
Carolina.
explore and
I'm sorry,
collaborate in a real way
well
to
over
look
$3
at
million,
research
almost
and
$4
employ
million.
advanced tech-
So anyway, they go on and on. You have a few people that oppose it, and everyone else is for it. Guys, this wasn't random. Israeli leaders openly called deeper U.S. ties existential insurance. AIPAC made it politically impossible to unwind. The ratchet clicks tighter every decade, until now, when the DIA warns of critical spying and Congress says, fuse deeper. Guys, just because it's not confirmed as a master plan doesn't mean the government isn't hiding the coordinated incentives. So, tomorrow will be June 8th, is the 59th anniversary of the Israel military bombing a United States ship called the USS Liberty. Representative Massey is speaking on the House floor to honor the crew. This was an unprovoked attack on a U.S. spy ship in international waters. The irony is choking. The 1967 attack to blind U.S. intel. 2026 DIA says spying is critical, yet we're fusing the tech. Now, something that I wanted to focus on was what happened that day.
Most Americans have never heard this story. Why? On June 8, 1967, the USS Liberty was off the coast of Egypt. Calm seas, clear skies, the American flag waving in the air. Then, without warning, a plane flashed overhead, and America's closest ally opened fire. Planes and boats bombarded the Liberty for over an hour. Torpedoes, fires, even the lifeboats were shot to shreds. 34 Americans killed, 171 wounded. That's 2/3 of the crew. The deadliest attack on a U.S. ship since World War II. And it was done by Israel. Survivors say they were pushed to stay quiet, despite what to them felt like overwhelming evidence that something else was going on. A cover-up, they feared, was happening the second the first weapon was shot. The official story? A tragic accident. But behind closed doors, even high-ranking U.S. officials didn't buy it. A top advisor for President Lyndon B. Johnson said it was inconceivable that it all was just an accident. But what did the U.S. do publicly? Not much. There's been one main investigation focused on the attack in the decades since. It lasted just over a week, ending 10 days after the attack. And even that investigation was allegedly doomed from the start. Ward Boston, a Navy attorney who helped lead that very investigation, said it was cut short, despite the fact that they would have needed months to conduct it properly. He said they actually believed the attack was deliberate, but they were directed to rewrite parts of their findings and to not speak of the attack again. 58 years later, survivors still demand answers, while many Americans still have no idea this even happened. But with each year that passes, more survivors pass away. The calls get quieter and quieter. If any other country had done this, would the US have just moved on? Instead, the Israeli government has continued to kill Americans. Aid workers, journalists, even young people protesting Israel's illegal settlements in Palestine. 34 Americans killed, 171 wounded, and the US has barely touched it since. Why?
So, why? Perfect question. So, let's look. Okay, how do I want to phrase this? When you inquire about what happened, when you try to find officially what happened, it's a mistake. Our bad, dog, our bad. So we have to look at it from a conspiratorial angle, right? Because one does not simply mistake a United States ship. Now, at the time, Israel was in the middle of the 6-day war, or was it 6-day war, 7-day war, 100-day war, whatever it was, some war. And with Egypt. So the USS Liberty was off the coast of Egypt, and they were kind of monitoring the situation, I guess is the best way to put it. And from the audio I played you a little while ago, you heard the conversation between Israeli pilots and their command center as to who the ship belonged to, and once they found out, they bombed it anyway. There's no mistaking what it was. They knew who it was and what it was. It wasn't even a combat ship. It was a observation ship. They were checking out what was going on. They were listening to both sides of the conversation, so to speak. Israel didn't mistake the clearly marked American spy ship for an Egyptian horse transport in broad daylight off the Sinai coast on June 8th of 67. They knew exactly what it was, and they tried to sink it anyway. Here's how the theory connects the dots, step by step, as laid out by survivors. Researchers like James Bamford, James Ennis, and others who reject the official fog of war story. The Liberty was Israel's biggest intelligence problem. The USS Liberty wasn't some random freighter. It was a U.S. Navy technical research ship. Basically a floating NSA listening post, okay? Packed with antennas, parked in international waters 13 to 25 miles off the Gaza coast. Perfectly positioned to vacuum up every Israeli military radio transmission, radar signal, and command chatter during the 6-day war. Now, conspiracists argue Israel realized the Liberty was intercepting their most sensitive plans, specifically the decision to violate the ceasefire. That's what they do, obviously, and invade Syria's Golan Heights the next day on June 9th. Israel's government had already told the U.S. they didn't expand the war northward, but Defense Minister Moshe Dayan and the IDF High Command were hell-bent on seizing the strategic plateau anyway. If the Liberty relayed real-time troop movements north, pulling forces away from the Egyptian front, Washington could have alerted the Syrians or the Egyptians, leaked it to the Soviets who were feeding the Arabs, or pressured Israel diplomatically to step down. So what's the motive? Silence the only neutral sets of ears that could expose Israel's expansionist endgame. Take out the ship equals take out the witness. Some versions, including a Russian Mossad history cited approvingly by conspiracists, even claim Israel knew U.S. intercepts were being shared with the Soviets, so sinking the Liberty protected the element of surprise against Egypt too. So it was also covering up war crimes in real time. While the air and sea assault was happening, Israeli forces were allegedly massacring Egyptian prisoners of war at El Arish, just a few miles away. Bamford and others claim Liberty's sophisticated Signet gear was picking up IDF radio traffic about the executions. Letting the ship survive meant that the U.S. and potentially the world would have hard evidence of atrocities that could have torpedoed American support, aid, and the whole plucky little democracy fighting for survival narrative. So the motive, dead men and sunk ships, tell no tales. The attack wasn't random. It hammered the intelligent compartments first, then the life rafts. Survivors describe Israeli torpedo boats machine gunning inflatable rafts in the water after the ship was already crippled. In conspiracy logic, that's not mistaken identity panic. That's leave no survivors who can testify. Now the false flag angle. Drag America into the war on Israel's side. The juiciest version is that this was a deliberate false flag operation with U.S. complicity at the highest levels. The idea, sink the Liberty, blame it on Egypt, or make it ambiguous enough, and trigger an outraged American public and military to jump into the fight against Niger's Soviet-backed forces. Israel had already deployed most Arab air forces on day one. U.S. carrier air power would have finished the job in hours. And here's the evidence cited by theorists. Israeli jets allegedly used unmarked aircraft or attacked in a pattern that mimicked Egyptian tactics. The attack lasted over an hour, long enough for multiple waves to see the giant American flag and hull markings. U.S. rescue planes were launched from the 6th Fleet, then mysteriously recalled twice on direct orders from Washington. LBJ himself, per some accounts. Lyndon B. Johnson allegedly in bed with pro-Israel activist Mathild Krim that very day, reportedly said something to the effect of, "I don't care if every ship in the Navy goes down, I will not embarrass our ally." Whether apothetical or not, it fits the narrative. Ward Boston, chief counsel to the Navy's Court of Inquiry, later swore in an affidavit that LBJ and the Defense Secretary Robert McNamara ordered the board to conclude mistaken identity, despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary, and altered the transcript. Motive? Israel gets the superpower cavalry. LBJ gets to look tough on communism, keeps Jewish American political support, and avoids alienating the Israel lobby at the critical Cold War moment. But the cover-up proves the crime. Why did the U.S. accept Israel's apology and the $13 million compensation so quickly? Why classify everything for decades? Why did 10 officials, U.S. inquiries, including congressional ones, all toe the tragic accident line? Conspiracists say it's because both governments had too much to lose. Israel couldn't afford to be seen attacking its only real ally. The U.S. couldn't afford to admit its closest Middle East partner had just murdered 34 American sailors in cold blood. Better to just bury it, pay the families, and move on. Especially with the '68 election looming and the anti-war movement exploding. The official story? Misidentification in the chaos of war. Gets shredded by conspiracists with details like the ship was flying a fucking huge holiday-sized American flag. Israeli reconnaissance planes had circled it for hours beforehand, and the torpedo boats came in close enough to read the hull numbers before firing. So what's the bottom line? Israel was fighting an existential war, but also had bigger territorial ambitions, kind of like today. Golan, and some dirty laundry, POW killings. Deliberty was in the wrong place at the wrong time with the right equipment to expose both. A mistake doesn't explain the precision, the duration, the life raft strafing, the frequency jamming, or the immediate high-level whitewash on both sides. In the conspiracy worldview, it was a calculated risk. Better to risk alienating one ally temporarily than lose the war, the Golan, or America's unconditional backing. Whether you buy any of it or not, the theory has persisted for 59 years precisely because the official explanation feels too tidy for something that killed 34 Americans and wounded another 171 on a sunny afternoon in the Mediterranean. The Liberty survivors and their advocates still call it the one attack on the U.S. Navy ship that Washington refuses to treat like Pearl Harbor or the Cole. That's the fuel that keeps the conspiracy engine running. So why would that be? Well, Pearl Harbor got us into World War II. The Cole got us into the Middle East. These things, we don't want to fight Israel. They're our buddy. They're giving us a shit ton of money. We're giving them we're a big fucking party over here. Guys, this is why I get so fucking aggravated at all this bullshit that we're dealing with. And then to top it off, are we afraid of Israel? Are we afraid of what they're going to do or what they could do? You know, it is of my opinion that one of the reasons we got into this situation back in February now, 2 weeks, it's been 5 months now, 4 months, whatever, was the Samson option. I personally believe that Netanyahu or someone along his lines invoked this option to, whether it was to Trump or to Rubio, that if we did not get involved in this, that they were going to invoke the Samson option. We've talked about that on previous shows. I'm not going to go through it again. You can look it up. But this allegedly has been done before. Whoever, the prime minister, I can't think of it, Ben Gvir or whatever, back in the 60s, did this to Nixon. And we got involved. Israel, 90 warheads, triad delivery, nuclear ambiguity, Samson option, which was Seymour Hersh's book. Israeli leaders, in their own words, if there's an existential threat, pull the temple down, regional murder, suicide, not pure mutual assured destruction like Russia or China. So Russia and China believe in the mutual destruction, which means if Russia and or China were to just set off nukes to either bomb Europe or America or whoever, that in turn those countries would return the favor, so to speak. You bomb us, we bomb you, you kill some of our people, we kill some of yours, and everyone's dying, essentially. So but with Israel's doctrine, corner us and everyone burns. We're giving deeper access to that mindset. We're giving them the ability to broaden their horizons on this option. We're going to take a break here, guys, because I'm a little fired up. So hang tight. We're going to talk about our next sponsor. Hang tight. Folks, in this surveillance age, when allies spy on us and data fusion looms, protect yourself. NordVPN keeps your online life private. No logs, military-grade encryption. DTOM listeners get a huge discount right now, guys. Plus 4 months free. Go to nordvpn.com. Use promo code DTOM. Don't let them fuse your data. Secure it right now. We'll be right back. So, what the hell's going on with all this? AIPAC Super PAC spent millions to primary Massey out. Most expensive House primary ever. Legal because of the FARA loophole. Restructured in 1963 after predecessor was ordered to register. Citizens United Super PAC money, dual citizenships, U.S. donors, not foreign principals. So here's the caveat. We talked about AIPAC a couple of shows ago. And the difference here is this country allows Israeli citizens to have dual citizenship, which subverts this situation because technically they're American citizens. I don't believe that you can have dual citizenship. I believe if you're here from another country for work or, business or whatever, then you're a citizen of that country, but you're here on a work visa, and that's that. You can't have dual citizenship. How can you be a citizen? I mean, you can't even be a citizen of 2 states in this country. And what I mean by that is you cannot be a resident of, say, Florida, move to another state, and set up shop there, have a house, and so on and so forth, and claim both states as your residence. You can't do that. So why do we allow some of these countries to do that? Because that's essentially what they're doing. Politicians get cash, primaries, jobs. Critics get primaried or smeared. Both sides of the aisles, guys. This isn't a Republican or a Democrat thing. It's all of them. Now, if any of these individuals did this with China or Russian, they would be tried for treason. But here it's bipartisan alliance. I'll read this article from Al Jazeera. For many voters, this was back in May, many voters in Illinois, nothing appeared overly suspicious in the 30-second election advertisement that aired mid-March. The video starts with a burst of cheerful music, and a narrator praises congressional candidate Bushra Amawala as a fighter for real economic justice and the real deal. But the video was not part of the genuine effort to get Amawala elected to the U.S. House of Representatives, and the candidate quickly disavowed it. Instead, public records reviewed by Al Jazeera now show the commercial was paid for by a political action committee associated with the largest pro-Israel lobby group in the U.S. Funding for the advertisement came from AIPAC, which has been pumping tens of millions of dollars into election campaigns in a push to sink candidates critical of Israel. With the midterm primary session in full swing, advocates say AIPAC is placing its thumb on the scale in many congressional races. It's tactical, they argue, undermining election transparency. Every cycle, AIPAC shows just how broken our democracy is and how corrupt our political finance system is, said Ushma Anrabi, a spokesperson at Justice Democrats, a progressive group. Every cycle, they are at the forefront of exploiting those gaps in their right-wing donors and the expense of voters. Now, the thing I'll disagree with this is it's not a right-wing situation, guys. There are equally as many Democrats on this list as there are Republicans. It's not a right and left thing. It's a corruption thing. It just so happens to be that some of them are Republicans and some of them are Democrats. It doesn't, this right-wing bullshit is garbage. It doesn't matter. In Illinois, the advertisement aimed to boost Amawala in order to siphon off votes from more visible progressive candidates, namely Palestinian-American activist who ended up losing the race narrowly. While the Chicago Progressive Partnership, the group whose name appeared on the Amawala advertisement, was widely believed to be linked to AIPAC, it did not have to reveal the source of its funding until after the elections took place in March. Now that the vote is over, Federal Election Commission receipts show that the sole funder of the Chicago Progressive Partnership was Elect Chicago Women, another PAC, and it contributed $1 million to the partnership. In turn, ECW, not the wrestling thing, but the other thing I just said, had raised more than $4 million from the United Democracy Project, the election arm of AIPAC, and another $1 million from investor Blair Frank, one of UDP's largest donors. AIPAC also contributed $1.3 to a third PAC, Affordable Chicago Now, in a critics call an effort to conceal its spending in Illinois. Palestinian rights advocates say this use of shell PACs is evidence on how pro-Israel group has become toxic among U.S. electorate. They argue AIPAC has taken a Russian doll approach, hiding its spending by funneling funds from one PAC to another to hide its involvement in primary races. They are so unpopular among allegedly they are so unpopular amongst the Democratic Party they have to hide themselves. And Arabi told Al Jazeera, we have to keep exposing them and looking under every rock to see whether or not this shell pack or that shell pack is funded by AIPAC. Guys, now obviously, the reason this person is focused on the right-wing aspect and the anti-Democratic Party aspect is because obviously this person that won was a Republican beating out a Democrat. But I'm here to tell you right now, guys, it doesn't fucking matter. I'm telling you, that guy from North Carolina, in the clip I played a little while ago, he was a Democrat from North Carolina, almost $4 million from AIPAC. I'm telling you right now, it doesn't matter. All those voices you heard, there was 2 of them that didn't take a fucking penny from AIPAC. They were both Democrats. However, the other 5 people you heard, 2 of them were Democrats. 3 of them were Republicans. Telling you it doesn't matter. Okay? So, what's interesting is I wake up this morning and I watch the news because that's what I do. And immediately I start to realize that here we go. This all broke on Friday. And it's Sunday morning. I mean, not now. It's Sunday afternoon, but it was Sunday morning at the time. I need to hurry up because I got to go to bed. And we have mainstream media doing its job to spin the DIA story as rumors and denials. And I'm going to play you from Fox, of course.
What am I hearing about it? It is total BS. It's another anti-Israel story planted in a major media organization, put forward to help divide the two of the good guys, the U.S. and Israel. The problem in this whole thing is Iran. And the other problem is Hezbollah. Hezbollah is an unwelcome force in Lebanon. They have taken over that country, and they're finally being pushed back. They did not sign on to end peace agreement. When it comes to Israel, I was in touch with some of the highest level of our intelligence apparatus. They say this is a dumb story. It is well known that we do the same exact thing with France, with Britain, and Israel. We are known to share intelligence and also monitor each other. This is just another example of people going out of their way to try to create a divide between us and Israel. And it does not exist. Yes, you have real arguments. That's called what friends do all the time. And that's really, really important for people to understand. Just because you have a disagreement on when to attack or not to
today,
attack or how to
Junior.
approach things doesn't mean that's a bad alliance. That's called a real relationship, and there's nothing tighter in this world than the U.S. and Israel, and I would argue that we have no better friend in the world than Israel. And this is also, look out for these same organs that want to divide and also blame President Trump for what's going on in Iran and paint Iran in a sympathetic light. They are the problem in the Middle East.
The interesting thing is you heard what he just said, and you're sitting here telling me that we're supposed to just let the history go. People that are listening to this show, I mean, I actually kind of like, I mean, a lot of these guys on Fox, I really used to listen to. Brian Kilmeade, you know, it's like, it's very aggravating to see all these individuals' true colors. It really is. And my problem with this is we're talking about, or he's talking about a certain situation. He's talking about this bill. And they're all spinning it the same way. Every single one of those Congress people that I spoke of that were in agreement for this bill said the exact same fucking thing he said. This is what you call the Mockingbird scenario, Project Mockingbird or whatever. This is it in real time. I did a show on Project Mockingbird, and we talked about how the press does this and has done this for 80 years. This is happening in real time. That was from this morning off of Fox and Friends. On the eve of the anniversary of Israel's military bombing one of our ships for no reason. Oh, it was a mistake. Bullshit. The reason everyone's starting to get a little antsy about this situation is because of the history of this country in Israel that has only been around for, 78 years, that has caused so much grief for not only this country, but the countries in the Middle East. And we allow this stuff to take place because of our greater good of trying to get oil. In the meantime, Israel's doing this for expansion. They've been doing this since day fucking one. Every single little war that they've been involved in has expanded their territory. Whether it was a couple of miles, a couple of 100 miles, or whatever. Look at the history of the expansion of Israel since day one to today. Every time there's a situation with them and whoever, they expand a little bit more. That is what this is all about. That is period. That is what this is all about. Of course, no one on the news is going to tell you that. You'll probably hear it on a couple of other podcasts. You're definitely going to hear it here. But Pew Research in April of this year, 60% unfavorable view of Israel. Gallup sympathizes, flipped 41% Palestinians to 36% Israelis. And the under 50s are leading the shift. People see the contradiction. Not all Americans are stupid. And I don't even want to use the word stupid. Naive. The skepticism is exploding, guys. All right, let's do our last commercial. All right, guys, support American-made and fight the machine. MyPillow, the best sleep of your life, and they stand for freedom. Use code DTOM, get you 70% off at MyPillow.com, guys. Sleep sovereign. Let's wrap this show up here. Hang tight. All right, so as we are a conspiracy theory show, we're going to put on our conspiracy hat, and we're going to activate our conspiratorial brain. Decades-long warming for deep access. Samson asymmetry means no mutual restraint. Section 224 isn't aid, it's permanent entanglement, so the spine becomes baked in. The government is hiding the full scope. Absolutely possible, and history shows it. The 250 birthday irony in all this is celebrating independence while sovereignty is fused away. This is disablement by design, guys. I'm here to tell you, if we don't fix this quickly, we're going to be in trouble. Woo, coming in hot. America, the ratchet is tightening. Call your reps on Section 224. Demand FARA enforcement. Please make sure to share this episode and wake up your normie friends. We don't tread on anyone, but we sure as hell won't be tread on. Guys, stay vigilant. Make sure, whatever podcast app you're listening to this on, you hit that little follow button, that subscribe button. Follow the show on Rumble, DontTreadonMericaTV. And follow the show on social media. Don't Tread America on Facebook, Instagram, True Social, and the TikTok, and of course on the Twitter X Machine, DTOM Podcast 1776. Like I said before, you can go to the website, DontTreadonMerica.com. From there, you can check everything out, including the DTOM Store. Get you a t-shirt, get you a whiskey glass, get you something. Represent the show. Get you some stickers for your vehicles. Guys, I don't take any profits from that. I give it to Tunnels and Towers, okay? It's not about the money. It's about getting the word out there. Make sure you share this episode. Put it on your social media. Tell your friends about it. Get them involved in this. If you have any questions, concerns, anything I'm missing here that you want to add to the conversation, email me, donq@DontTreadonMerica.com. With that being said, guys, you have a great rest of your Sunday. Have a great work week. I will be back later this week. I'm sure we'll be talking about some more bullshit because I'm sure all this is going to come through in the next couple of days. You guys have a great day, and we'll talk later. Peace.